Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we do these free mentoring sessions week after week after week. We started doing these in the fall of 2008. It's been more than 10 years, and this is the 461st session going on here. Over 100,000 people have come to these, and we have had the privilege of working with numerous entrepreneurs from numerous different countries in the world, numerous different corners of the world, not just countries. You know, it is easy to imagine that somebody from Bangalore, India joins in, or maybe even Santiago, Chile. But what is really, really amazing is when people join in from the foothills of the Himalayas, from a small town in Kashmir, which is, you know, kind of unsettled territory and so on. That really makes my day when I see someone like that. Of course, I'm thrilled to have all of you here, so welcome. The event is being recorded. You will have access to all recordings of our prior sessions at the 1M Roundtable channel. And you can also find the recording of this session over there. So those who are going to be pitching today, you don't need to take notes. This is one of the advantages of having the recording available, is you can listen to it as many times as you like. So pay full attention to the conversation, get as much as possible out of the discussion, and then you will have recordings to refer back to for notes. If you are live tweeting today, please use hashtag 1M1M. Our Twitter handles are at 1M1M and at Stromana. And we publish an enormous amount of rich content that you can access through Twitter. This is a roundtable, not a broadcast. We want you to participate as much as you would like to. So it's very important that you make a note of that and you participate in public chat. Be sure to send to all participants. So make sure your chat goes to all participants, not to me privately, because I can't have private chats with you while I'm anchoring this session. It's just not viable. So you're going to need to operate within the public chat framework or by dialing in when we open up the line for Q&A. I will put the slide up a bit later again. We will be announcing today the Blackbaud 1M1M Social Goods Startup Challenge. And later on in the show, we will have executives from Blackbaud, and we're going to have a full discussion on what this is all about. It's very exciting. Blackbaud is the leading cloud platform company for social goods startups, and we are launching today a challenge for entrepreneurs around the world to participate in building social good applications on top of the Blackbaud platform or integrating with the Blackbaud platform, and you will have access to 1M1M premium membership because of that. Okay, we are going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch session. As you know, if you have been here before, you probably know this, but I'm going to underscore this again. We want you to be successful, and we're completely on your side. This is a safe working session. There is no other agenda whatsoever in us being here to be with you and to help you through your process. So be completely free to discuss whatever issues that what you're struggling with, so that we can work through the strategic elements of those. If you disagree with the feedback you get here today, that's fine too. It's okay. It's your venture. You will do whatever you want to do with it. Take the feedback. The feedback is based on a lot of experience. So take the feedback, consider the feedback, and then decide what you want to do, how you want to play your cards. One thing you must remember though, not all businesses can raise money, not all businesses should raise money, and raising money does not guarantee success. That's a reality. That's just a reality of the game, and you have to figure out a strategy to address that issue. We are going to start today's session with a conversation with Hema Lakkaraju. Hema is a 1Mby1M premium member, and she's working in the healthcare sector. Hema, please unmute your line and talk about what you're doing. Hayag is the company. Hema, are you on? I don't hear Hema. Hema?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So hi everyone, my name is Hema. I'm the CEO and founder of Hayag Corp. I have been in life sciences industry for 10 years, playing multiple roles at startups and big organizations as a compliance lead. To little bit know history about how the company have started, working at multiple organizations and looking at the challenges that people have, mainly while developing the innovative health products and projects. They could not able to understand or reach or meet the compliance standards because of multiple silos and compliance standards not meeting the innovation faster rate it's going right now. So keeping that in mind, Hayag have been founded. So Hayag is where the innovation meets compliance strategy, meaning for innovative products where you have IoT, software, hardware, data management, everything together. Hayag provides a holistic compliance strategy based on the data it's been handled and based on where exactly the innovative health usage is. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little bit outlook of where health industry is going right now and why Hayag is founded. The estimate as per Forbes is $8.7 billion of global health, out of which 1.7 billion is mainly focused on healthcare IT. The challenges that we have right now is the regulations that are in silos, meaning you have one regulation for security, one regulation for privacy, one regulation for medical health, and so on, and which gives the challenge for the innovative health companies to launch the product because they couldn't able to understand what the multiple standards it have, and it's increasing, impacting the time, it's impacting the cost, and overall it impacting the progress of the company to go to the market faster. Another big challenge that we have is the innovation. As we talked about, it's more and more of data-driven products now and more of AI and ML technologies. And the regulations right now are not completely addressing those challenges. Next slide, please. So coming to the internal of the organization, what challenges we have? We have one tool for one solution, and we don't have compliance by design, meaning you have tools right now in the market that deals with the reactive approach. After the product gets launched, if you have issues, how you will manage, how you will do, HAPA system, and so on. It's like a damage fixing thing, but not like a proactive approach. And the next biggest challenge that we have now in the market is no holistic compliance. Meaning there is no, not even in an organization, if you look at the teams, that you have a holistic compliance team. Meaning you have one separate privacy team, one separate security team, one separate regulatory team, one separate quality team. We don't have a team that understands the system or the project or products overall and look at the overall compliance approach, what we call as a holistic approach, due to which it's increasing the time and the cost and overall the impact and the progression of the company. Next slide, please. So what Hayag is trying to provide is a solution by giving one platform solution. Meaning, if you have any project or a product that is innovative enough, that is data-driven, what you have to do is to enter the nature of the product or project and tell what kind of data is handling, whether it's personal health data, whether it's EHR, whether it's EMR, whether it's personal identifiable information, what kind of target market are you focusing on? What kind of a product? Is it a digital health? Is it just a system and so on? And it takes all those attributes and give you a lean yet mandatory holistic compliance regulatory controls. Meaning it brings all those applicable regulations in place and brings the core mandatory requirements based on the product. We just don't want to make, again, the solution as one tool, one solution. So indeed, we have created a virtual platform for the whole project and product lifecycle management. Meaning you have your design. Yeah.
Hema, can we speed up a little bit because we have a limited amount of time left. So let's hit some of the core points. We can't go into this much detail at this session. We can do that later in a private session since you're a premium member. So let's just go to some of the business fundamentals.
Sure. Can you go to the before slide so that it just tells what it's exactly. So with Hayag right now, this is the status. Have everything below. And with Hayag, you are bringing all these important processes in one platform. Next slide, please. So who are our customers? Our customers are majorly focusing on or first.
You're dropping off. We can't hear you.
Can you able to hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So we are majorly focusing on the digital health market. And at present, we are focusing on helping the customers in EHR and EMR. Our segmentation strategy is majorly to help with innovative health. And based on our demos and feedback that we got from customers, we have compliance leaders and C-suite members who are really interested in this project. Next slide. So the customer acquisition is through in-person meetings, through conferences, through webinars. And we are looking to expand and give a virtual complete solution through Salesforce and Jira integration. The business model is a subscription base per user per month. And based on the amount of users, the package changes. We are going to give an upfront storage as a basic need. As the storage requirement goes or storage option, the configuration cost applies. Because we focus on the multiple regulations in multiple areas, we give as a package one target market. And if you want to select multiple target markets, the pricing gets add-on as per the. So here is a snapshot how you can actually manage, and that's where we are right now.
So you haven't talked about current traction and strategic pieces. So where are you currently, and what's happening by way of customer acquisition at the moment? What does the pipeline look like?
So the pipeline looked encouraging. So we have demoed it for multiple range of customers, from clinical solutions to hospitals and healthcare, and mainly the C-suite people are really interested in it. So we are in the process of finalizing the documents of SOW.
And you have one paying customer already?
We have one paying customer already, and we have 4 in pipeline for mid-size organizations.
One paying customer and 4 in the pipeline, and plus, at least in the first few customers, you need to do some level of services to fully get through their deployment, and you're expecting to get paid a significant amount of money through these through these deployments so that you can finish these customers and turn these 4 customers into reference accounts, yes?
Yes, that's the focus.
And have you sorted out how you're going to manage the services portion? How are you going to allocate time and resources to be able to fulfill on those 4 projects?
Yes, so we have 4 projects and we have agreed for a certain number of hours per week for each of these customers in a certain way that it adds up to a manageable way, meaning 10 hours per week per customer as an add-on additional consulting services for these startups.
So the one thing that is a question that comes to my mind as I'm thinking through your early customer traction and how those customers are engaging with you, if that becomes a long-term issue, like every customer will want your subscription model plus a lot of services, then the business becomes a different business, and then you're going to have to hire consultants who can go in and fulfill those services requirements, and just keep that in mind as you are thinking through and implementing these first 4 customers on if that becomes the scenario, how are you going to fulfill those customers' requirements?
So the idea is for these compliance consulting big firms that we have right now. I'm in process of talking with 1 or 2 big firms, and what we are doing is instead of them providing the customer compliance services, they will be using our automated tool as part of the process. And the idea is to slowly become the partnership with these well-known compliance firms, so that when they handle big accounts, instead of them hiring a high paycheck consulting people, they can use the tool at the back end to help them reach the next step. So which also gives us exposure to the customers.
Good. I'm glad that process is in swing. All right, we will talk again in an upcoming private roundtable. Thank you, Hema.
Thank you.
Okay, Rahul Ranjan, you're up next. Rahul is also a 1M premium member. Rahul, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me, Ravna? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, this is Rahul. I am founder of Palacio Incorporated, based in San Francisco Bay Area. And this is my company, Palacio Incorporated. It's an art and tech company that we started 3 years ago, early 2017. And my whole background has been in connected devices, IoT, in companies like Intel, predominantly in Qualcomm, and then later on at TP-Link, mostly in smart buildings and connected devices space, leading strategy and business development teams. So we started an mission to art and tech, and the first problem that we tackled was to bridge the gap between the between the art requirements from the customer side and the gap on the artist side. So most of the people want high quality art experience, but finding right art is not only expensive, time consuming, and even if you get it, it becomes like boring, or like it's always same, I would say. And they want change many a times, depending on the mood, decor, and time. At the same time, artists face a very difficult problem of finding the right customers for them. And once even if they sell the art piece, it's very difficult to monetize what they have already sold. So these 2 problems we tried to solve. Next slide. These 2 problems we wanted to solve through 2-way approach. One is to come up with a smart digital display where the art looks very realistic. We have developed a technology called ArtSense, where if you put a digital version of art or photograph onto it, it will look like a real painting. And when I say real painting, if you don't know it's a monitor, you won't know it's a monitor. So that's the core value of the technology. But at the same time, we partner worldwide with museums, galleries, independent artists, so that you're not buying a piece of technology, but you have a lot of art choices on art and photograph over there, and then you can change it as per the requirement. And at this and looking at the core value propositions that we bring for the customers and artists. So customers get the realistic and authentic experience of art. They get legal access to expensive art that they normally can't access, and they can change it, and they get personalized graded content. And artists, I mean, they do get skill like revenue share out of the subscription fee, but I think most importantly they get new channel for art sales and post their actual physical sales, so which is very important for them. Next, so whom do we target? I think there are two broad categories that we are targeting. One of the people who are art enthusiasts. They love having something like different kind of genres in art and photography. And these are the people, I think predominantly I would say US and Eastern Europe, where the most of the market is. Here the level of interest is very high. They are aware. They know what they're doing. And then other one is the upcoming new segment, which is more of people who are into new kind of cool gadgets. And these are the people who have a lot of money. They may or may not be exposed to art, but they love the idea and they go for it. Next. So go-to-market strategy, it depends which market we are trying, because this being a product that goes both in home and enterprise segment. For home, it's I think direct sales plus some different B2B to B2C strategy that we are trying. And for enterprise, it depends. It's huge. Right now, we are focusing on hotel market, particularly, where we are partnering with the companies who are in the smart hotel segment. Particularly one partnership with DigiValley is very fruitful for us. So segment specific, and it's also the geo specific partnership that we are trying to do, because it depends which segment and which area we are targeting. As of now, it's mostly home and office, and then hotel is something that we are testing right now. Next. From traction perspective, we have little less than $500,000 of sales already. And most of this like pre-sales, but right now it's we have started shipping the product, and then we can fulfill the product in real time. And we have over 1,000 customers, about 100 or so offices, one hotel that have signed up for our product. And we have about 40% of content subscription rate, which is the recurring revenue model for us. From a content perspective, we have over 500 artists and organizations who have signed up on our platform. And many leading organizations like Jane Goodall and Kodemi are part of our content contributing organization list. We have been featured by some of the top publications in US and Europe. And so once we have product right now, I think at this point of time, our main idea is to scale up from the foundation that we have built over the last 3 years on product, and then also the community that we have developed around artists and content along the customers that we are continuously getting. So we have to scale up.
What is the timeline for fulfilling these pre-sales orders?
We are fulfilling right now. So we will be able to fulfill all the orders by December. US, Canada, and Europe. We already got the certification in September. So that was the bottleneck we had actually, because you need to have the wireless certification for all the markets. And now we got the certification. We have the first shipment coming in October 25th here in US, and then we'll have second shipment coming in December 10th. And between these two shipments, we will be able to fulfill all the orders, no problem.
Okay, got it.
And we will have it also. Inventory. Yeah. Go ahead.
The other question that comes to my mind is, last time we talked, you were leaning towards going kind of full blast into the enterprise segment, whether it's hotel or offices or hospitals. What is the current status of that strategy?
So we have picked the hotel because just to focus on one segment and prove it. So we have partnered with a company called DigiValley. They happen to have a very unique model in high-end hotels. So basically, they integrate all the smart devices within the room through iPad, and we have integrated with them also. So this is something that we are trying in other markets also. We already have one lead in a five-star hotel, and we have submitted the bid and in the process of getting that business. But so that strategy is there. We are partnering with more companies platform companies in hotel market where we can integrate and get the channel. So one-to-one biz dev is kind of difficult in hotel market. I have tried and it works, but it takes a lot of time. So easier was to go through the platform route. So that's, I would say we need more data and more time. We have already gotten some traction and we are looking good to go into enterprise segment.
Rahul, the hotel lead that you've got through this DigiValley company, what is going to be the deal size of this particular five-star hotel lead?
It is approximately, it's going to be, so it's 100 unit that I have put the bid, and it's close to $50,000, I would say.
Sorry, close to what?
$50,000. $50,000.
Also, you're discounting the unit severely.
There will be discount actually because in their case they are interested in promoting the local art. Then they were interested in the subscription. They may, but I think the idea of them bidding for it is to basically promote the local art around that hotel, and they wanted to position it uniquely to their customers. So I didn't reduce a lot of one-time unit price actually to them. I did to some extent because it's a bulk order. But I think in other cases, I guess the idea is to subsidize a little bit on the hardware side because that's more of a bottleneck for hotels. And then make money on subscription. It's just the way it works actually is in hotel case, owners are the one who decide on purchase, but the general managers are the one who decide on subscriptions. So depending on the case and where we are bidding, we have to decide.
So this on the subscription, on this local artist promotion for this particular hotel, are you going to be bringing all these local artists that they want to promote onto your platform, or how is that being negotiated?
We will try, but I don't have visibility into this. As of now, I don't have. So we have, so we will definitely try. I mean, that's our idea is to bring more artists and
It's a very important account, but fully fleshing out how you're going to deploy into this particular hotel is a good way to to penetrate the hotel market and also understand how you're going to be working with the hotel market, because what you're learning, the signals that you're getting from this market, like they want to promote local art, that's an interesting signal, it's an interesting input, because that could be something that a lot of hotels may be interested in doing.
That is true. So local art plus the areas they can go and see, all the information around it, and that's very helpful actually. So
yes.
We are learning through this, and we are giving fingers crossed. Hopefully, we get through everything, and we'll have a lot of learning in the process. So yes, that's true. Yeah.
Awesome. That's very good news. Very good. Good luck. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Stedman Cleveland from Los Angeles. Stedman, could you please unmute your line and talk about what you're doing?
Yes, thank you for having me. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Perfect. So my name is Stedman. I'm one of two co-founders here at Tadaw. I've had a background in digital media here in Los Angeles, working for various companies, including Playboy and OWN. My co-founder has worked in the ad tech space for companies like Reach Local and Answers.com, where he was part of the mergers and acquisitions there. Pretty much what Tadaw is a way for people to digitally engage with the billboards and outdoor advertisements around you. You're able to discover the products and services that are being displayed there and make purchases instantly from an app. Can you go to the next slide, please? The reason for this is the data that's collected from the interactions that are being processed within the application. Some of the interactions could be views or clicks or shares or referrals to friends for the billboards. Next slide, please. The problem is, and what I found was on a trip that I took to New York, I actually was unable to purchase some Broadway show tickets. And so that's kind of sparked the problem there where I had to do an extensive Google search to find that. So I figured that there should be some type of streamlined process from billboards to actually products and services that can be displayed within the app. In addition to that, through my discovery, I found that advertisers only have anecdotal data or secondary data to be able to track conversion or ROI. Some of that secondary data may be a before and after method, saying how much marketing spend did we spend now, how did that impact revenue, but they have no idea how that, if that came from radio or television or, print. Next slide, please. So as I was explaining before, users are able to engage with the billboards around them. Using geolocation, we're able to track them and attribute that to a billboard. In addition to that, the advertisers are able to programmatically target individuals based on location, interests, preferences, all from one individual outdoor advertisement. Next slide, please. There are over 900,000 outdoor advertisements in the United States, with 350,000 of those being billboards. We're looking to try to capture, or at least target from the beginning, 10% of the 350,000 within the next 2 to 3 years. Next slide, please. Our sales model is using the media ad buyers or media ad planners that currently sell to advertisers in terms of billboard or outdoor ad space. What we'll do is we sell to the, or we utilize media ad buyers who are already selling, pay them a commission as an add-on service to the advertiser. Advertiser pays us, and we end up paying the media ad buyer. Next slide, please.
I have a question, Stedman. You are assuming that regular billboards are going to be swapped with your digital billboards. Is that correct, or am I making some wrong assumption here?
Yeah, so all of this is done by longitude and latitude, so there isn't any kind of physical device or anything that's on the actual billboard. We actually get the inventory from all billboard and outdoor advertisements in the U.S., and so we display those prior to selling them any product or service.
So the billboard doesn't need to be digital. The billboard is the billboard, and you're doing something else, location-specific, on the app.
Right. So imagine if you're walking or driving and you see a billboard, you're able to get that specific information from that billboard. But we learned that a lot of billboards and outdoor advertisements are kind of ambiguous. So sometimes you don't know what information that you're looking at or what product or service that the company is trying to tell you.
So one feedback I have for you is you need to do a use case to explain how this works. Because I've been listening to you for a little while already, 3-4 minutes, and I still haven't figured out how this works, and that's not good news. So since it's something that like what app? If there's a billboard that I want to buy something off, where am I going? What app am I interacting with? All these are questions that are coming to my mind, and I don't have any idea what is the usage flow of this particular technology or this particular specific mode of interacting with these advertisements. So I don't fully understand what's happening, and that's not good news for you from a pitching point of view. So that is something you need to tackle.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, so it is a single application. So the application is called Tadaw. And so you would interface with one single application to be able to access the inventory of billboards and outdoor advertisements around you.
So why would I want to get Tadaw? I mean, how does Tadaw acquire customers?
Okay, if you don't mind going to the next slide, please. So our user acquisition model is heavily incentivized. So every single interaction that you actually engage with the billboard within the app, you actually earn points that are converted to gift cards, prizes, and discounts. What this does is it has a unique value proposition for the individual user, and it also promotes different retailers, either online or in-store retailers throughout the platform.
Okay.
In addition to the utility of being able to get the access to the information that you're seeing there. So right now, currently, we're running an early access email list. We have 3,000 people that have signed up in less than 2 weeks. I think I've spent maybe $15 or $16 on digital ad spend. Yeah, there's about 58% of people do search for information, regardless if that's through Google or let's say you're trying to purchase movie tickets. You are able to, 58% of people do that. 55% of people share any kind of outdoor advertisement to their social media, and with 35% of those people purchasing products that they see from outdoor advertising.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So these are the general questions that I had for you. One is being able to attract angel investors, which I think you answered within my pitch. Also, should we release the app with an incentive to test the utility, without an incentive to test the utility, and then how should we go out and start engaging with media buyers and advertisers?
So I'll go one by one. Your first question about angel investors and VCs, in general, investors are looking for validated businesses to invest in. So you are a very, very early stage, concept stage company, and you're in a pre-seed investment stage. So this is a stage that is the most difficult to finance, and neither angel investors nor VCs, we're talking about professional angel investors and institutional VCs, neither of those categories will engage much with what you're doing. So you're going to have to look in friends and family to be able to get investment for your early stage until you get some validation going. Now, I don't understand your question about release the app without incentive to test utility. What does that mean?
Since similar to what you're saying, because our user acquisition model is centered around people being incentivized, I was thinking to release the actual app with a testing utility of just being able to display the products and services. And I was wondering if that could be damaging to potential downloads later.
You have to have the ability for people to be able to use the app and get value. Otherwise, don't spend marketing dollars on acquiring users if you cannot deliver value. That's the question, then that's a very strong no.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how do you engage with media ad buyers and advertisers? Again, it seems like to test, to be able to provide value to consumers, you need some advertisers to play ball with you and put their inventory in a way that people can buy off your app, correct? So that means that the first port of call for you is to go find an advertiser who's willing to work with you. So that's the first thing you need to do, is get 1 or 2 or 5 advertisers in a particular area to give you inventory to sell. And then the other thing that you need to do is then acquire users, consumers, around that particular location where you have inventory available from a particular ad board, outdoor advertising. So you have to, it sounds to me like it's something that you have to build very organically on a location basis.
Gotcha. Okay. And then also in terms of measuring growth before the product has been released, is that obviously I think you kind of answered that within the media.
I've answered that question. You need to get some advertisers, you need to get consumers around that locale and see how much activity, how much transaction activity, how much usage activity your app is getting within that location, and then kind of build, focus on one location. In Los Angeles, find the neighborhood of Los Angeles where you can test this, and there are, outdoor advertising going on that you can bring on board. So that's the validation that you're going to have to fund yourself and get to some, quality metrics with which to convince people who would come with you in the next session, next part of the journey. Whether it's investors, advertisers, consumers, everything.
Perfect.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All the best. All right, tell me, you're next. Jacksonville, Florida, My Way Going. Or My Going More? My Way Going? What is the name of the company?
Yes, it is My Way. My Way.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Samana, right?
Samana, yeah.
Samana, thank you very much for this opportunity. Yes, the company is My Way. I'm here, headquarters in Jacksonville, Florida. We are a pre-revenue company, but we have some exciting things. Our mission is to provide individuals, consumers, and businesses the most innovative, expeditious, and flexible shipping marketplace. And we aim to reduce delays in delivery, reduce costs, reduce the carbon footprint, but also eliminate shipping dead zones, because these are some of the pain points when persons have time-sensitive items that need to be shipped. There are actually dead zones for shipping. Next slide, please. So shipping carriers have restraints. And so I asked the question, should these restraints determine whether a package is time sensitive to all these millions of individuals who ship every day? And the answer to that is no. Customers' needs should determine what's time sensitive. And so all those who agree like yourself, we asked to take this journey with My Way. And this illustrates the antiquated shipping timeline that the carriers use today, like FedEx, UPS, and United Postal Service. Just from Jacksonville to Orlando, which is only a 2-hour ride, maybe about 30 minutes in a flight, can be likened to, I guess, from Mellon Park to Oakland. But man has sent items to the moon quicker than the shipping delivery that we have today. So what can we do? Next slide, please. What we looked at is by utilizing the infrastructure that we already have, could we leverage the travelers who are already planning these trips, and then provide consumers with lightning fast service and instant gratification. Next slide, please. And one of the things that we looked at is that the shipping carriers today are, with their restraints, are causing so much pain points, whether it's because you have to determine whether you want early morning delivery, late morning delivery, and there's different pricing associated with that. And then you also have that there's no true same-day delivery. So if someone today, right now, say I need something in Oakland, well, the options are next day at 10:30 or next day at 12. Well, why is that? Do we have those large restraints? And then there's no opportunity for creativity. If I want to buy a dress that my wife was looking at a catalog, and we have an event tonight, well, why couldn't I buy that item for my wife so she can wear it tonight because she just changed her mind, right? So the restrictions that next day and 2-day delivery service calls for creative thinking is also a impetus for the platform. Next, so we look at the infrastructures that we have. We have the mode of flights. In some cities, there are flights, 300 flights between each city every day. From Chicago to Atlanta, there's over 300 flights every day. And then, for instance, here in Jacksonville, even to Denver, there's 53 flights every day. So by utilizing the infrastructure already in place, we can improve or expedite time systems shipping. Next slide, please. So just like some of the other known gig economies, Airbnb and Uber, MyWay wants to leverage or harness that gig economy as well by gaining a broad base of individuals who already have existing traveling plans and who want to monetize their unutilized capacity. And so they're willing to act as carriers. Next slide, please.
Tommy, I have a question that comes to mind right away, and I'm sure you've thought about it. So I'm just going to put it out there and let you answer it. Probably it's coming on everybody's mind who is listening to this. What about safety? You know, one of the questions that every traveler gets asked is that, do you have anything objectionable in your luggage? How do you protect that? How do you assure that what is being transferred, what is being shipped is reasonable?
That's a good question. And in order to reduce the nefarious or illicit activities, our platform is a registered platform. So all of the shippers have to register to ship. There's no cash transactions. There's no prepaid cards that can be used. So a person has to use a credit card, which has a return address. They have to use their email and their phone numbers. But then also they would have to take a picture of the item that they are planning to ship. The traveler, all of our travelers have background checks. And then once a traveler, like you say, come to authority, whether it's the airport, they would declare that they are MyWay carriers. And once they declare that they are MyWay carriers, then, you know, because we're not changing the process, because whether you're a MyWay carrier or you're not, all your items are going to be scanned, right? So a person would only declare that they are a MyWay carrier, and the accountability for all of the shipments are the weigh bills that are inside the packaging, and of course that is marked on the outside. So the carrier, the traveler then would not be responsible for the items inside, because in fact our motto is that they won't know what they're carrying for their protection as well as for insurance.
Okay, it's a bit tricky, correct? Sorry?
But the market, as you notice, is a $92.5 billion industry. I'm sure I know your father was in the shipping business as well. So the market is huge. But MyWay feels that.
Well, my father was not in courier services. My father was in shipping, as in container ships.
Right, container
So,
shipping.
but yes, your courier services industry is a large industry.
Right. But we're looking to get a slice of each portion of the business to business or the business to customer. We like to just say it's person to person, because whoever has a need for expedited service, they will find our service better because we're cheaper, we're faster, and we give them more opportunities to get those items to their customers. Next slide, please. So in this environment of instant gratification, we know that Target, Walmart, and Amazon have aligned themselves to meet the needs of their customers. But on the other hand, FedEx, UPS, United Postal Service have not pivoted their products to address that instant gratification that consumers are requesting. And that's what My Way will fill that niche, that they're designed to complete that. And of course, this instant gratification of instant gratification is only increasing, where 66% of shoppers want next day or same day delivery, and 37% prefer same day or sooner delivery. Next slide, please. You can go to the next slide. And so the proof of the concept of My Way, someone asks, how are you sure that this is a viable and valuable proposition for all users? Next slide, please. Ship was acquired by Target for $550 million to make same-day delivery possible, and this was only being when it was only in a sample or proof of concept market. I think it was in Seattle, and they were bought before they even got national for $550 million. Walmart, they purchased Parcel and Jet.com to speed up delivery. And they're here in close by Atlanta. There's a company called Roadie who built a network of over 50,000 peer-to-peer drivers, and they allow persons to utilize or monetize capacity in their vehicles as well. But they're not focused on expedited services. So, what is the differentiator for My Way? Next slide, please. We promise faster delivery. If our travelers are unable to make the delivery within the 23-hour period, then we ask that they do not accept that delivery item. But we also allow to use the infrastructure already in place, where there may be 50 flights from one city to another. We'll be able to capitalize on all those opportunities of getting a person traveling from one city to another. And then,
Tommy, I have one more question in this context. Who's doing the last mile delivery? So let's say you get through the hurdle of the shipper bringing the merchandise to the traveler's home, and then the traveler goes and flies and moves the merchandise from one city to another. What's happening on the receiving end? Is the receiver coming and meeting that person at the airport and doing the transfer? Well, how is the transfer happening?
Excellent question. What the platform is designed to do is eliminate the last mile dilemma, which Amazon and all these other companies are still struggling with. So to reduce that, we have the traveler who determines they will put in their itinerary, which is the zip code they start in, and an address and the zip code that they're in that. Mm-hmm. And then they will say whether they'd be willing to deliver within 5, 10, or 15 miles radius of their final destination, or they can have a pickup address if they don't want the person to come to their personal home address. They can have a pickup address at a Starbucks within that 5 or 10 mile radius. and the shipper as well will have that filter put in so that the algorithm of the platform will only match the two people, the people who will meet that qualifications. Meet the criteria of the shipper more precisely. And then another area that you mentioned, if you go back one just a little bit, because we talk about accountability of deliveries, that part number 2 about security, that accountability of deliveries. Everyone is registered, whether it's shipper or a traveler, and there's no cash transactions to take place on the platform. So every item that's shipped, the shipper knows that we have your address, we have your phone number, your email, and your address, and of course your picture that you ship this item. So it's definitely a deterrent for illicit or nefarious activity. And the other proposition is that the traveler will be able to earn instantly once they get on the other side. Once the item is delivered, they will get paid instantly. Next slide, please. And here are some of the other competition. Next slide, please.
So one comment that I'm going to make for you, Tommy, is that these companies like Airbnb and Uber are intensely capital-intensive companies. So you have to be able to raise humongous amounts of money to be able to make something like this happen, because you're now talking about changing user behavior. People don't feel necessarily safe doing this, right? So you have to, and that, I'm not saying that it is not possible to change that user behavior. It is possible because Airbnb has proven that they can do it. People never thought that people are going to be willing to let people come and stay in their apartments or homes. Right. Strangers coming in randomly and coming in and staying in their homes. This was not at all a given when Airbnb started. So they have proved that that is viable and viable at scale. So it very well could be that your concept of peer-to-peer delivery is also viable, but there is a certain amount of, funding required to be able to scale something like this and prove and, build trust. So you're going to need to, this is not a lean startup, this is a fat startup. This is a very fat startup. It's an obese startup. So you're going to have to think through a financing strategy to make that happen. I'm going to have to leave it at that comment because I don't necessarily have a strategy for you to do that, especially you're saying you're in Atlanta?
No, we are in Jacksonville, Florida. You're in
Florida, okay. So, these kinds of companies have typically happened in Silicon Valley. These are, the infrastructure for financing these kinds of companies happen to be in Silicon Valley, and it's going to be very difficult to make something like this happen from Jacksonville, Florida, because I don't think you would find the investors that are capable of handling this kind of a venture in Jacksonville, Florida. So those are my early comments on your venture. We're going to have to move to the next segment. Do you have any last question before we move on?
No, I do appreciate what you're saying, and I have had investor interest, but they want that one trip, they want that one successful trip to be shown. So we're
all right. Well, you have to start validating somehow. So figure out how you're going to validate. Without validation, without proof of concept, nobody is going to fund you. So good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks. we are going to move to the next section of our presentation today, and it's a very exciting segment. So we have here with us Roz Lemieux and Rachel Hutchisson from Blackbaud, and we are launching the Blackbaud 1 million by 1 million Social Good Startup Challenge. Welcome, Roz. Welcome, Rachel. Great to have you here. Are you on? You need to unmute the line.
I think we're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Yes, now you are. Perfect. Well, let me actually let you do the introductions, Roz. Talk about yourselves as well as about Blackbaud, and let's get our audience up to speed about what's happening here. Something really interesting is cooking.
Sure. I'm Roz Lemieux. This is Rachel Hutchisson. We are live from BBCon, which is Blackbaud's big annual conference and their premier tech gathering for social good. It's about, 2,000, 2,500 people?
Oh, no, Roz. We have almost 4,000
Almost 4,000?
Yeah, like at least 3,600. You just lost 1,000. It's really big.
I was getting that info.
Yeah, really big.
People here. And Rachel is literally just came off this main stage for the closing. So,
and you've already announced the challenge there.
We did that yesterday. It was great. It was so well received.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of interest already. Rachel, do you want to give a little background on who you are? And
sure. So I'm Rachel Hutchisson. It's really great to be with you today. I lead Blackbaud's corporate social responsibility and sustainability. So all the ways that we seek to give back as a company. So I've been with the company a really long time, almost 28 years since we started with, I think there were about 100 people when I started. So it was very small and very entrepreneurial. And then I've gotten to see that journey as we've grown up and gotten outside investment and gone public, but I still very much remember those early days. And we talk about how we power an ecosystem of good through what we do as a company. And my job is really to make sure that we really show up as an active participant in that ecosystem. And I do think that I have the best job in the world.
I also have your background a little bit as well. You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so my name's Roz again. I wear a few different hats at Blackbaud. I run our internal incubation team called Blackbaud Labs. We do a few different roles there. One is help foster a culture of innovation, like we host our big annual hackathon. We have in the expo hall here a big booth that has all kinds of cool stuff like VR and AR and IoT displays and so forth. So kind of that piece. We also incubate new product ideas with our own internal team. I also manage our developer platform portfolio. So the infrastructure on which external partners, including startups and social good space, can build tools and services around for Blackbaud customers, shared customers. And then now we're launching this startup piece so that we can support social good startups that want to work with Blackbaud and expand the tools that are available to our awesome customers.
Fantastic. Well, it's also a very exciting week when we are launching this. You must have seen in the media that three economists actually have won the Nobel Prize for Economics for working in poverty alleviation, and two of them I actually know personally, Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo at MIT, and their work is really interesting and inspiring. I've been following their work for a decade almost now, and they're measuring, poverty alleviation policies and measures around the world and making it more scientific. So it's so exciting, and it's such a great week to launch this alongside that announcement. So talk about Blackbaud a little bit. What is the company all about? You have more than 2,000 customers in the social good space. So let's understand a bit better about the Blackbaud, the company.
Yeah, and just to clarify the numbers, we have 4,000 physically here in the building with us.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have tens of thousands.
Yeah, so I think that right now we have about 45,000 customers, and they really span that ecosystem. So we work with individuals, so those would be individual people who are taking causes in their own hands, and they're going out and they're doing either crowd fundraising for a charity or crowdfunding campaigns. We work with nonprofit organizations, and that ranges the spectrum from higher education, K-12, healthcare, any kind of nonprofit you can think of, including churches. So really rich array of organizations there that touch all different
Lots of arts and culture organizations as well, right?
Yeah, arts and cultural, all different kinds of organizations. The third group is funders, so foundations, corporate, family, private, or community foundations, which are a different kind of nonprofit focused on grant making. And then the fourth is actual corporate, so corporates like PwC, IBM, Adidas, organizations that are using our technology specifically designed for them in their workplace as an engagement tool for their people. And it does things like helps them get involved in volunteerism, helps them get their matching gift, it gives them a channel to give to causes. And we actually just implemented that system ourselves about a month and a half ago. So it's all those different kinds of organizations with tools that are specialized for them.
Very cool.
So I'm sorry.
Go
I
on.
just wanted to say also, so we've been around for nigh on three decades or so.
Yeah.
Kind of grew up, a lot of folks knew us for fundraising software.
Yeah.
Razor's Edge is a pretty familiar name in our space, but we've grown over this time. We have software that includes CRM, marketing. Rachel mentioned the corporate social responsibility software, school management, grant making, financial management. It goes on and on, all kind of packaged up into those vertical solutions that are really sort of specific to the needs of those different verticals.
What I also find very cool about Blackbaud is that you're in Charleston, South Carolina. One of the things that always motivated me in working with 1Mby1M is we work with entrepreneurs all around the world, and here you have a great case study of a successful entrepreneurial journey across 3 decades from Charleston, South Carolina, where you have built a very sizable company that has gone public and been successful as a public company. So that's also something that inspires me personally.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful privilege to be a part of that journey. The company was actually founded in 1981 in New York in the Long Island area, and that was just a very expensive, difficult place for a startup. And, people couldn't afford to live anywhere near the office. They were, young couples starting to want to get married and buy houses and et cetera. And our founder, Tony Bacher, was really ahead of the curve on that idea of quality of life. And he was British, and he wanted to move somewhere in the East Coast, but somewhere that would provide a good, more affordable place for families. And I mentioned he was British because one of the reasons he chose Charleston was that it felt kind of European to him. It has this it's an old city. It's one of the oldest cities in America. And so he chose it and really put our roots there. And then from there, he ran us for the first 18 years. We got that outside investment, then we went public, and it's been so fascinating just to watch how we've evolved as an organization, but keeping what we now call social good, because that wasn't a term in the 80s, but in focus at the heart of what we do.
And it would be very interesting to see this program that we're going to be doing together, how much of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial activity from Charleston we can draw in, because this is the perfect opportunity for Charleston entrepreneurs to plug right into the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's
all right. So
one of our motivations. I'll just say as a personal plug, I, having been with Blackbaud for 3 years or so now, moved to Charleston last December, and it was a great move.
I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about what we are trying to accomplish with the partnership between 1Mby1M and Blackbaud.
Sure, I'll start. The partnership's really part of Blackbaud's commitment to powering what we call the ecosystem of good, which is inclusive of all the mission-based organizations that we serve, all the other software and services companies that support those organizations, in maximizing their impact alongside Blackbaud.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this because as a corporate social responsibility professional and someone who's really interested in sustainability, we have our second social responsibility report coming out actually next week, which really focuses on all the ways we give back. I'm not just focused on the traditional giving and volunteering. I'm really also motivated to talk about and amplify the things that we do around tech for good, the way we operate and make good decisions as a social good company. So this is a great example of not just expanding products that are available, but expanding that ecosystem and investing and helping smaller entities and entrepreneurs who might not be able to do this on their own, leverage that. And it's such an investment and win for everyone because our customers win and there's more goodness out there. And particularly, in looking for diversity in the applications and people we fund, that's also going to help us invest in diverse communities.
Yeah, I'll say for me, a big piece of this is about driving innovation in our space. I am also an entrepreneur. Shamana, you sort of hinted at this at the beginning. My path to Blackbaud was through acquisition. I had been in the nonprofit space or grassroots organizing, ran a nonprofit for a little bit, which was a training institute, started a digital agency, and then a software company called Attentively, which is now Blackbaud company. So that's how I came in to be part of this organization. And I just see a lot of other companies that are like Attentively was a few years ago, startups that are doing something different, innovative, pushing the envelope that really add value in a different way than Blackbaud's really thinking about doing right now. And so I wanted to create a pathway to support those organizations and a pathway for Blackbaud to partner with them. Mm-hmm. In case you haven't sort of picked it up from our description, Blackbaud's kind of a 100-pound gorilla in our space. So we do invest a huge amount in R&D. We're always innovating. And my team, Blackbaud Labs, helps drive some of the exploration of disruptive technologies. But at the end of the day, there's thousands of startups out there that are looking to serve our same customer base. And, frankly, in some ways, they're more nimble. They bring diversity of thought. That no one company could do no matter how big we were. So the way for us to be of service to our customers and to this social good ecosystem is not to try to do everything ourselves, because that's just not possible, but also to serve as a platform for social good innovation and support those startups to ensure that they have success to build the solutions that are going to drive those delightful and really impactful experience for our shared customer base.
Let's talk a bit about what types of customers are we looking for this Blackbaud 1 million by 1 million challenge?
Sure. The best fit applicants are going to be those startups that serve Blackbaud's 8 verticals. So, we can be, I think, the best kind of partner when we're, working with the same kind of customers. Yeah. So arts and culture organizations, corporate social responsibility, faith communities, foundations and grant makers, healthcare organizations, higher education institutions, K-12 schools, and nonprofit organizations are the kind of big buckets. We're looking for early stage software companies with a product in market. So for this round, not so much idea stage, maybe some future date, but round one, we're looking for companies that have a product in market, at least one paying customer, so a little bit of validation, and ideally that either do integrate with the Blackbaud product or that, that would make sense for them at some point in the future. That last one's not a totally hard requirement, but again, it's about to whom can we be the most useful partner?
Yeah, how can we amplify what they're doing and leverage this channel that we've built over the past 40 years?
Yeah. So let's do a few examples, and this will help our entrepreneurs understand what types of applications are being built, on the Blackbaud platform or integrating with the Blackbaud platform.
Sure. I've got a few examples. Hopefully these companies won't mind me putting them on the spot since we haven't actually officially opened applications yet. But in my mind, I'm picturing companies like Tuesday Company. They have a mobile app that is for volunteer engagement. It's really complementary to the kind of stuff that we offer at Blackbaud. So their Teams app, basically volunteers bring that, let's say, to a college where they're an alumni and they volunteered to do phone calls. It maps the alumni prospect list or any prospect list to their own contact list and tees up text messages for them to basically invite their friends and family to give to that college or organization. So really cool kind of new use of mobile tech. So that's one. FreeWill is another organization, another company that's really interesting. They offer, they're B2C, so they have this consumer-facing website that is for anybody to go and make a free will. So you can go and it kind of walks you through in this really user-friendly way how to draft a will, and along the way you say where you'd like to allocate your resources when your time comes, and that can include gifting them to nonprofits and causes that you care about.
That's a really interesting topic. I was in the UK earlier this year, and an organization there was talking about how do we help people really from a perspective of something they really need, make sure they have wills. And yes, if they also want to leave money to a nonprofit or a charity, that's wonderful. But fundamentally, the first piece is making sure that all these people who have families and children and assets actually get a will, which is kind of the corporate social responsibility first need. But then beyond that, there can be a wonderful lift for the charitable community.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It changes their whole theories. It really changes the relationship of the nonprofit to that individual over the course of their lifetime. You know, I may not be a person who, you know, today would be considered a major donor prospect, but if I'm gifting my home to an organization, that really changes.
Policy, there are all these different things.
Yeah. So those are a couple interesting ones. There's some AI companies out there that are sort of very complementary to the stuff we do. That's interesting. We have a few partners today in our tech partner program that, you know, had we caught them at an earlier stage, would have been the kind of companies that we're looking for. A couple are here actually at BBCon. Gather Voices is a company that they have software for individual supporters to do video on their phone to tell their own stories of why they support an organization's mission.
And they've been doing that here at BBCon, which is really cool.
Yeah, and they've been around for a few years now, so they're probably a little more mature than the companies that will apply, but really cool. And another one is Qzium, if I'm saying their name right. So they've got an AR app that allows arts and culture organizations to create apps. So when you're going through a museum, for example, it gives you additional information on the pieces and the exhibits there. They also have a mobile guest pass application. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. So, you know, the basis of this partnership is that entrepreneurs who win the 1M Blackbaud scholarships are going to have access to the 1M premium program, and through that, access to coaching, mentoring, as well as access to investors, potential customers through our network. That is that's the platform that everybody who follows 1M1M is already familiar with. But there are additional benefits to this partnership, which is number one is access to the Blackbaud customer base, and you've just said it's 45,000 plus customers that Blackbaud has, and for early stage entrepreneurs, sorry?
45,000 customers, Yeah,
45,000 customers, absolutely. So, one of the biggest challenges for early stage entrepreneurs is getting customer validation and getting, going from 0 to 5 customers, 0 to 1 customer, then 1 to 5 customers, and 5 to 100 customers and beyond. So that is tremendously attractive for entrepreneurs who would be considering applying for this. So talk about what else are you bringing to the table with this partnership?
You want to start?
Sure. So I know one of the things that Roz is really passionate about, and you should probably talk about the App Store platform, is this time next year we'll be in Seattle for bbcon 2020, and we really hope to lift up and highlight some of the entrepreneurs that we've invested in and who have made some great progress and really help to share their stories. And whenever Blackbaud does an event, it's not just for the people who are sitting there and actively involved in the event. We're always very open about sharing lots of things through our social ecosystem. So, I've done, I think, 8 or 9 interviews at this event to help share really good stories out that we'll be pushing out afterwards. So we do that, and then we also do lots of targeted things depending on, so Roz mentioned some applications that are very specific to certain kinds of organizations, and so they don't need to reach our full customer base. They want to reach a targeted group, and we have a full array of different events that are led by our global marketing team that might just be for faith communities or just for healthcare or just for higher ed, and so it's easy for us to kind of map someone into the right place, both through bbcon 2020, where we want to definitely lift up some specific stories and celebrate what we've accomplished, but also through these hundreds of things that we do throughout the year, both in person, but also through virtual activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Rachel mentioned our developer platform. There's some specific sort of technical ways that we offer now to get startups and really partner companies in front of customers. So developing on our platform, we now offer ways to one, show up in-app in an app marketplace, and then 2, actually show some functionality inside of our customers' primary CRM or primary fundraising software. So that's something we would work with startups to help get them in the daily workflow of customers if that was appropriate. And then we have part of the idea here is to get startups that are a great fit with our ecosystem, access to some of the things that normally really much larger partners would have access to. So finding those places where they can plug into our marketing events or customer events as appropriate.
Yeah, and we have real insight to that because as a company, we're often asked to support things in order to have access to communities. And we really know the power of kind of plugging people in ways that are a little bit different and removing those barriers to the degree that we can.
Terrific. Now, the last piece of the incentives that we are offering through this is access to the Blackbaud New Startup Fund. And there's a $5,000 to $25,000 grant that that startups may be considered for. So talk a little bit more about what your thoughts are around the startup fund.
You start.
Okay, so very simply, all the scholarship winners will be considered for a grant. They are grants, so there's no strings attached. It's not an equity investment. So that's the type of funding they would get from the new fund. You already mentioned it would range $5,000 to $25,000. On the smaller end, they may be simply to help offset, say, the cost of an integration. We know there's a lot of tough decisions when you're small and you're getting started. On the larger end, maybe that helps accelerate the business for go-to-market. It's really our first time doing this, so we're learning also in doing it what our partners' needs are. So we're pretty flexible in how we're going to distribute those next year.
Yeah, and I actually went to Roz because I was so excited about this, that this is just another way for the company to engage as a participant in that ecosystem, that, looking at applicants and looking, are there women or minority-owned businesses that are applying? Are there ways that we can help lift up certain affinity groups or help a community or an entrepreneur that's doing something that's really focused on veterans or all sorts of different things? So we're really trying to take a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to it as well. And as Rod said, we're learning, but I think it's important for us to start there versus saying later, we have this successful program now, let's layer that in. So that's really exciting to me.
So we have a couple of questions in the public chat. Laura Dawson is asking, do you work with companies which have both services and a research project? I'm going to try to answer that question, and then you can weigh in on top of that, Roz and Rachel.
Before you do that, I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for having me. I actually have to dart back to another BBCon responsibility, but it's really been great to be with you. So I leave you with Roz.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
So Laura, to answer your question, in 1 million by 1 million, if you have followed us, we have a very successful methodology that we use called bootstrapping using services. So we often bootstrap products using services. So if you have a research project that needs to be productized by using services revenues, that would be fine as long as it meets the specifications of Blackbaud's activities and customer base and so forth. So Roz, if you may want to weigh in, but I think I probably answered the question.
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job. I agree with that.
The next question is, what is Blackbaud's access point for small business to reach your organization? All that is available on the, we'll give you links to, if you go to our blog, if you go to the Blackbaud blog, all of that is available. The contact, whom you need to reach out to, where is the application form, all that is available on the blogs. So that's where I would steer you to look. Maureen, could you please offer the link that Laura should be going to look for this? All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments, feedback before we wrap up today's session? All right, folks, that concludes the segment on the Blackbaud 1 million by 1 million challenge. Roz, thank you for being here. We will roll up our sleeves and work on this for the next few weeks and make sure that we get some very cool companies going.
Super. I saw our first application come in while we were on here, so we're really excited.
Oh my goodness, all right. Very cool. Okay, folks, let's just a few minutes on 1 million by 1 million and how to use the program for those of you who are considering using the program. One call to action that I have for you is bring serious entrepreneurs into 1 million by 1 million. And the word serious is in bold. It takes a tremendous amount of work to build a company. So you better be very serious and commit many years of your life to building a company, otherwise it's not going to happen. Resources-wise, everything is at 1Mby1M.com. You will find a terrific blog that you'll learn a lot from, and it's free. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series has 12 volumes of case study-based books, 12 to 16 case studies each. Double-click down on specific topics, all the way from billion-dollar unicorns to positioning to bootstrapping using services, which we discussed just now. All of these are covered in short volumes. You could learn there too. These roundtables happen every week. You're very welcome, and I encourage you to come to these roundtables. And if you missed the live session, check it out on YouTube. The 1 million by 1 million premium program offers extensive methodology guidance on how to put one foot before the other for first-time entrepreneurs in particular. We offer you guidance through an online curriculum that is a case studies and video lectures-based curriculum. We help you with business development. We offer you strategy consulting, mentoring, coaching, whatever you call it, project-based help. And then we help you with financing. We have a network of hundreds of investors. So if you're trying to raise money, this is something that we would help you with. And we have a lot of clout in the media, so getting the word out about what you're doing is something that we can also do very effectively. The 1 million by 1 million self-assessment is a questionnaire that we encourage you to go look at. This is something that you should try to answer these questions. These are questions that investors will inevitably ask you, and you are an investor in your company, so you should ask this question of yourselves and of your own venture. It will help you strategize. If you get stuck on methodology points, go do 1M Basic, which is our curriculum-only option, and plug those methodology gaps. In any case, go look at the website. There are lots of material, what to expect from premium, what to expect from basic, FAQs, video FAQs, all kinds of description of curriculum. We are a case study-based program. We can often give you blueprints of other entrepreneurs who've done it before you to follow that match. What is it that you're doing? So that's a very good way to, to follow somebody who's done it before, and that's why we use this case study-based approach. Our methodology is lean, capital-efficient, bootstrap startups. We bootstrap first, raise money later. So if you come with a business plan that needs millions of dollars right away, we would probably steer you towards some other resource. This is not the way we build companies. We build companies in a very fundamentals-oriented approach. So that's it. Free roundtables coming up are October 24th, October 31st, 7th, and 14th November. And then we have these online rendezvous every Tuesday morning on all the social media platforms, LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter. You can come ask questions there too. October 22nd and 29th are the two next ones. And then we have in-person rendezvous. If you're in Silicon Valley or visiting Silicon Valley, you can come to these Cafe Boroni sessions from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. October 30th is the next one. November 13th is the following one. Yesterday we had one, and we had people from Vancouver, Singapore, Australia, and Silicon Valley. So it was a very international session right here. So if you're visiting Silicon Valley, by all means, stop by, and we'll be very happy to see you. So that's it. Even though we are past time, we try to close these sessions at 9:30 a.m. We had an intense session today, and we haven't really had a chance to do too much Q&A, so I will be happy to stay a little longer and take your questions if you have any. Laura Dawson has another comment. I have been lifting up my company's purposes for nearly 20 years, not new at this, yet always learning. Thank you. Look forward to sharing our two-pronged pitches next week. I have a commitment to keep at this time and have read your items and questions. Okay, very good, Laura. I'm glad you found it helpful. Is there anybody else who has a question? Please feel free to either dial in or use the public chat. In the meantime, let me introduce you to Irina Patterson, who's on the 1Mby1M side and is going to answer all your questions. Irina at 1Mby1M.com. Questions about the program, questions about the challenge that we just announced with Blackbaud. You can ask questions there. You can also reach out to Roz to ask questions. Maureen is the person whom you're going to be sending the applications to as well. So anyway, lots of touch points. There's no shortage of touch points to reach us. We're one of the most accessible, easily accessible, most approachable companies out there. So any questions? Very quickly, folks. Any other questions? Happy to answer. Yes? No? Last call. All right, folks, we'll wrap up for today. We'll be back here soon. And the earliest we're going to see you next is going to be Tuesday morning. So bye-bye. Meanwhile, have a wonderful weekend and see you soon.